From the thong-wearing beaches of Miami, Florida, to the flannel-wearing ski bunnies of Whistler, BC, this is the Qualk Show with your host, Carol Rosher.
Welcome to the Qualk Show and happy Saturday night. On tonight's show, we are talking about cheaters. We are going to address this from all sides of the spectrum, from the cheater side as well as the cheatees side. And, of course, we're going to hear from people that have been cheated on and the people that are doing the cheating and how this affects not only your self-esteem, but, you know, how you go about any future relationships. And I want to know also, is anyone immune from being cheated on? Then we're going to have a really in-depth discussion about polyamory with our guest, Brittany Simon. In specific, does polyamory belong under the queer spectrum? And when engaged in a polyamorous relationship, is there ever such a thing as cheating, or is it open season? Cyn, Hallie's away tonight. She's doing Pride festivities with Wells Fargo. Shout out to Wells Fargo for all of the things that they do for the queer community. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Cyn. Can you tell everybody how they can get a hold of us during the show?
Well, sure. Keep your computer on, or your whatever you're watching YouTube on live right now to watch the Qualk Show. But then if you want to communicate with us during the show, you can go to our Facebook page, the Qualk Show on Facebook, and you can chat live with someone there. We're also on Twitter and Instagram as the Qualk Show. So anywhere you go, Google the Qualk Show, you'll find us there.
Perfect. Let's introduce the cast. Really quick, we have Cyn, who just spoke, mom to 2 teenagers. We have Stephanie, our producer extraordinaire, and with a couple of little ones at home, a 4-year-old as well as a 7-month-old, 6-month-old?
She's 7 months.
She's 7 months. That's what I thought. We have Heidi here to shed some light on all things from the mental point of view. You can take with that what.
Thanks. That sums it up perfectly.
And most importantly, we have our special guest, Brittany Simon. Brittany is a blogger who talks about being a feminist, queer, polyamorous, kinky, daughter of immigrant parents, and so much more. Welcome to the Qualk, Brittany.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. How was everyone's week? I know, Stephanie, that you and Hallie were up to a lot of shenanigans this week in New York City.
Yeah. We went to hashtag LGBT week. You can actually still see it trending. It was an amazing experience. It was basically getting in front of marketers and branders that focus on our community. And the best part was that we met really, really cool new friends, and we were able to kind of just get at the whole industry and kind of feel out how they talk to us, and then also kind of, take back pieces of information for us too. So it was a good weekend, it's actually the middle of the week, but when you have kids, you forget what the middle of the week feels like, because weekends all blend together. But the 2 days that Hallie and I got to meet and spend time together, we learned a lot, so I'm excited about using that information.
And Stephanie and Hallie were live streaming for a number of sessions while in New York City. It was gold. It was gold. I know a lot of our viewers out there really enjoyed being able to interact up to the minute.
I got lost in the village. I mean,
yeah, that was awesome though.
You also
I'm sorry you got lost, but it was fun to watch.
Listen, I don't drink that often. When I get away from my kids, I have 1 beer, and I'm like, I cross over and trip over stuff.
Exactly. You also passed by a pastry store, which in my neck of the woods is sacrilegious. So that really
did it 5 times. If you watch back all the live streams,
you walked right by those.
But I believe you actually even pointed at them, said how yummy they look, and then kept walking. I don't like that kind of behavior. That doesn't wash with me.
I'm a Italian turkey. What do you want from me?
But I hear that because you did get hit on by miscellaneous people on the street, that you did have a warm welcome home. Is that correct?
I did. And I may again today.
Awesome. Anybody, you know what? I actually am on vacation right now, as people know, so we're a little bit off the cuff tonight, so bear with us. I am not in my familiar surroundings, and you'd be surprised how comfortable you get kind of going from the same place each day, and kind of throws you off a little bit when you're in a different place. So bear with me. I'm going to do the absolute best that I can for the viewers because we're live, and I'm always want to be here with you guys. So yesterday I did a little bit of live streaming myself. And if you want to check out that gong show, please, please feel free. And I will be live streaming for the remainder of my vacation at different times when I think something is fun going on, and as it relates to the Qualk Show. How was your week, Heidi?
Carol, hang on, Carol. Where can they find your live stream? It's not here on YouTube, right?
No, you can find it actually on my personal page that is no longer my personal page, Carol Rosher. And on
Facebook, right?
On Facebook,
Perfect.
Correct. There was a lot of interaction going on the other night. Facebook actually gave me a shout out and told me that the conversation was going well, which was kind of creepy. We discovered that if you put anything into a bowl, you can call it salad. So that includes popcorn. You know, if you were to cut up some chicken fingers and a steak and some barbecue sauce and just throw it in a bowl, that is definitely considered a salad. So
steak and chicken salad, high protein.
By my rules, exactly. How was your week, Brittany? Anything exciting happen? I saw you put out a new video this morning, so I'm assuming, judging by the content, that you're having a good weekend so far.
Yeah, I mean, give or take, we're moving, and moving's always really, 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 really stressful for me. And so I'm in a somewhat empty apartment trying to, like, because we don't have internet at the new place yet. And so we're hopping back and forth, but it's tedious, but it will be wonderful once we're all moved in tonight. So I'm excited.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for making time for our talk show today on what is already a busy weekend for you. We really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. My pleasure.
And we're so excited to have your expertise on the subjects that we're going to be covering tonight. So with that being said, let's get rolling with hot flashes. Gemma Halliday has wisely said, earthquakes just happen. Tornadoes just happen. Your tongue does not just happen to fall into some other person's mouth. Is it ever true that something just happens, or is it always a conscious thought or decision?
It doesn't just happen. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just, you know, your tongue doesn't just slip into someone's vagina. Like, this doesn't just happen. Like, there's thought involved. The attraction just happens, but acting on attractions aren't accidents. Nobody accidentally has sex.
You obviously haven't seen the Jerry Springer Show. Like, there are accidents that happen every single episode on that show.
I actually never watched an episode of that show. I'm more of an NPR girl myself.
Oh, love NPR. There was a person I knew, though, who claimed he slipped into somebody, and it was not his fault. He just slipped. And it was like he genuinely used that as like a defense against his like actions. It was fascinating, just fascinating.
Oh my gosh!
He was laying on the floor. He was naked, and he fell.
He just fell. Well, perfectly. He tripped, and his pants came off, and it just inserted itself right in. Like it was perfectly done.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
That's $1 million.
The lubricated underwear, I'm sure, was super helpful too.
Oh yeah.
I think if everybody's sober enough to be consenting, that doesn't happen. So
I have to say though, honestly, like you may not like have go out with the intent of sleeping with somebody, but I'll admit, like I've gone out and 6 hours later, know what? I am having sex, and like that wasn't planned. I wasn't cheating on that occasion by any means. But
on that occasion, we'll get to the cheating.
We'll talk about that later. But I have absolutely gone out at night and just ended up having enough drinks and whatnot, and it just in the moment happens because we're both drunk, consensual adults. So, like, I can see how if somebody was not respectful enough in keeping their sobriety to a level where they respect their boundaries within their own relationship, like. I can see that somebody get just stupid drunk and end up sleeping with somebody and be like, I didn't mean to, it just happened. But I'm not justifying, I'm not saying it's unexcusable, but I can see how that's, just my perspective on how it could happen.
No longer allowing her to go out drinking with the girls. You know, it's funny because I've been sober for 16 years now, sober from alcohol, let's make that straight.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And when I used to drink, I did make way shittier decisions than I have over the past 16 years. Like, I literally have not had a coyote ugly in 16 years, because that's shit you do when you're drunk. You're not doing that sober. If anything, I am too picky when I'm sober. Like, I always say, for a bigger girl, I get a lot of hotties, but I have to hold out. I have to hold out for those hotties. I am not going home with the coyote ugly girl anymore. And I think that has a lot to do with cheating as well, making those really poor decisions.
Yeah.
Just add alcohol.
Yeah.
I know for myself, I am, aggressively kind of toppy in regular interactive life and sort of a bottom in bed. But when I'm drunk, and it only takes one cider, people, one cider.
Get this woman a cider!
I get super toppy, and I just want to, like, take someone by the hair and be the aggressor. And so before I get drunk with people, I often say, this is what I'm like when I'm drunk. I'll probably go for your pants, so we should do, like, negotiations now. Because drunk Brittany is hornier than any other, and I'm horny a lot. Like, I have sex a lot. And I still, when I'm drunk, so I have to really, like, watch myself, especially since in my life we do STI testing before having sex with people and stuff, so I don't have that, I can't go out in public and get drunk, like, unless someone's gonna watch me, because I'm just like, pretty things are walking next to me, let's do it. But I know, I always say about cheating and stuff like that people don't, leave people for people leave people because a relationship is dying. So if cheating is something that's on your forefront, if it's on your brain, there's something inherently wrong with the relationship that's established. So alcohol and all those things are just catalysts for decisions you're probably going to make. So you should probably make them in a orderly fashion is kind of how I try to construct my life personally.
That's actually a great point, Brittany. That's such a great point, that cheating doesn't just happen. It's not, you're not in the happiest relationship and the happiest moment of your life and going out and looking at somebody else on the street, unless,
And that's not always the fault of the other partner either, though. It might be that you're not fulfilled in your own self, in your own life.
Of course.
I know for myself, I do not let myself get college girl drunk anymore, because I make ridiculously stupid decisions that would not support the ongoing monogamous relationship I'm currently in.
Exactly.
So, and I know, like, I make different decisions when I am college girl drunk, and I just don't let myself get there anymore, and I don't have to worry about making those decisions.
For sure. Rose Winters states, no woman could love a cheater and not pay the price. And for me, it kind of begs the question of, would you ever be the other person in a relationship? And if you would, does that ever end well?
Statistics actually show that relationships that start in cheating, 75% of those will end in divorce. So, if it is started in an affair situation, it's not likely that it's going to. It is possible that it'll go on. There's a number of factors that play into that, but it's the odds are that it will not go on. And also, oftentimes an affair is an escape route, kind of from a relationship.
One of the things I do as a poly person is when someone approaches me who I know has an established partner who might not be in the same community, because there's a lot of, in Seattle, non-monogamous people, open people, poly people who all identify very differently, especially within the queer community. And a lot of times their partners won't attend events and will be the monogamous side of their poly relationship. And before I engage with those people, I have a rule that I have to talk to your partner and I have to know that they're actually consenting to us having sex, because I will not be the other woman when I don't have to be. There are other people I can fuck. Like, I don't have to get involved in this.
Exactly.
So that's something that I do to help avoid being that person. But I will say that it's not always easy, because sometimes those people aren't accessible, and sometimes you don't want to miss out on an opportunity, and then sometimes things just happen. But I feel like if it's not ill intent, like your intention is to be as honest and thorough with your negotiations.
For sure.
I've been the other woman without realizing I was the other woman before. That's a challenge. That was an ugly situation. So
yeah. You know, I think that it, for me personally, it just has never ended well. I would not knowingly be the other person. The only person that I've ever dated that was with somebody at the time, I think we kissed, and then I said, yeah, I'm not going to be the other woman. This is not my style. And in which case, she broke up with her fiance 2 months before their wedding. And we dated for a year, and then she cheated on me. So that kind of is a precursor to that type of personality that would break up with somebody just to go with that, I guess, for me anyways. What were you going to say, Brittany?
Well, you asked a question about can you avoid being cheated on? Like, can you prevent it? And I think as a commitment phobe, I'm scared of death of commitment. I'm living with my partner, and it still freaks me out every day. But I think eventually, after time, you have to make the decision to weigh the pros and cons and be logical about your decisions, but to know that you have to trust your partner eventually. Yeah. And in our relationship, we talk about everything. I mean, it's disgusting how much we negotiate, because I don't ever want the excuse of, well, I didn't feel comfortable talking to you, or I felt like I had to do this. I want my partner to know that they don't have to go behind my back. They don't have to lie to me. Like, we can talk about it. Like, I'm open, to all of it. And that's a luxury I think that a lot of people don't have. And I think a lot of people feel cornered. And then they feel like they have to make horrible decisions. Because it is. Like, I don't think, unless you're in a aggressively abusive relationship where cheating is your cathartic, Band-Aid, I don't think it's really a necessary choice. I think it's just, it seems convenient because you don't want to face breaking up with someone's hard, Yeah.
I kind of want to hear from the viewers. The viewers out there that are watching right now, have you ever been cheated on? Have you ever been the cheater? What was the story behind that? And do you think that it can ever end well? I really like to know what people are thinking out there as we discuss these topics tonight. So Johnny Depp has said, if you love two people at the same time, choose the second one, because if you really loved the first one, you wouldn't have fallen for the second. Since we were talking about polyamorous relationships on the show today, Brittany, does this ring true for you, or can you really equally love two people at the same time?
I really just like that quote. I think from a polyamorous perspective, from a monogamous perspective, maybe, but since I'm not monogamous, and I tried monogamy for a while, and that ended really bad. And so, in the sense that I was just like, I can't do this. Like, you're not enough for me, and not because people aren't, but because there are 7 billion people on the planet, right? 7 billion, and about, let's say, half of those are accessible to you as a dating perspective. Yeah. To say that only one person is going to be compatible for you is so fascinating to me. It's not even ignorant or anything else, because I think monogamy works for those who are monogamous. For sure. But from a poly perspective, if there is a second person, but you still love the first, you just get to add more pretty things in your life. Like, you don't have to leave the first. And I know for my partner and I, we don't date as a unit. So, like, I could have a girlfriend who's a lesbian, and he can have a girlfriend who's straight, and we don't ever have to deal with those things. Or we can all be a little poly quad and all be together. Yeah. Because my theory is you always need 4 in poly. Because if you go to an amusement park, no one wants to ride alone.
That's true. That's true.
We're going to have 4 people.
That's very considerate of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I understand where Johnny Depp is coming from, but I do think that you have other options. And I think the option is that you can love people in different capacities. And I think what people forget is when you're in a primary relationship, and let's say you're with them for 2 years and you've built this really intense relationship, and then a second person comes on, you're not going to love them the first day you meet them. You're not going to trust them or want to be, you're going to have to build just like you did with the first person. Yeah. But eventually, one would hope, depending on the relationship you want, that both of those people are equally important to you, and you want to build a life with both of them. Like, that's kind of the dream for us. Like, I would love 2 other people, and I would love us to build and go on adventures and have this thing together, because there are things that a woman fulfills for me, like, I can't even explain to people. Like, I really genuinely can't even articulate to people how being with a female is so fantastic and, like, different and intimate, and it's like they know your brain automatic. I don't know what it is, but I need that in my life, and I would hate to have a male partner suffer through a relationship with me knowing that he wasn't what I needed, but not because of who he was, but because of who I am.
Because of all of your myriad of needs that you need to cover.
Yes, like I have those needs, and so I'm lucky to have a partner who needs those things as well, because I don't think it would work. I had a monogamous partner in the past, and it was heartbreaking to kind of watch his face and realize that it wasn't really even about him. It was about my needs, and it was what it was. But yeah.
But when you hit that magic number 4, is that monogamy for you?
So there are things called open poly and closed poly. In the moment, we have open poly in our relationship because I'm still actively looking for a girlfriend. I'm going on dates and so on and so forth, and as is he. And once we reached, I think, 4 people, because that's a lot of people to have in a relationship for me, I think it would be comfortable to be in like a closed relationship where maybe dating romantically wasn't an option, but I mean, you know, a 5th person for a cool orgy one night might be an option. Because sleeping with people is not the same as dating in my book. And they function differently. But yeah.
No, I completely agree. I absolutely am fascinated by this topic, and you may convince me to be poly by the end of the show. But just kidding, honey.
Yeah, we'll see how the girlfriend is.
She's still breastfeeding. Don't mess with her.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to just pick your brain about all sorts of different questions regarding this as we move into the second segment. Right now, let's talk a little bit about cheating and what constitutes cheating. So, for example, is things like sexting cheating? Is watching porn cheating? Can you be a cheater in thought or word, or is physical contact actually needed to be considered a cheater? And if cheating has occurred in your relationship, can you ever recover and trust that person again, or is it once a cheater, always a cheater?
I think it's
okay.
Oh, go ahead, Brittany.
Go ahead. Do you want to go?
No, you go.
Okay.
Are you guys going to pub wrestle? Because I want to watch.
I'm in for a wrestling
I would
match.
totally be down. It's really cold in Seattle, so we're not doing it here.
My wife might have an issue with that. So.
That's true. Okay, I can't speak from any cheating perspective at all. But I can say... Okay, wait, restate the question, because now I'm having images of me mud wrestling with people.
Right?
She's picturing mud wrestling with me. I'm flattered.
I love it. I love it. Cyn's wife is like starting the car right now.
I'm like, seriously, that's all I'm thinking about right now. You can't do this to me.
So I think that we were talking about there's like emotional cheating still cheating.
Yes.
Is sexting, texting, and sending photographs to people and not just text, is that still cheating?
Yes. Depending on your relationship. We negotiated in ours specifically, and this was important because, oh my God, the friends I have had who did not do this. We have a relationship where everything is okay up until physical interaction that could contract an STI. So that needs to be discussed. We need to do negotiations. Make sure I'm cool with the person and vice versa. We have veto power in our relationship. Like, if they're an absolutely horrible person and you're blinded by your genitals, I will tell you. But otherwise, you do you. God bless. Cheating is interesting because I have met people that think cuddling with someone else is cheating. And for me, that's such a foreign concept because I am such a cuddler. I'm a cuddle slut. Yeah. Like, if I could cuddle with the world, I would be happy. And so we have explained that those are things we want and need, and we are not threatened by those things. It would be, I think, weird if I came home and he was having sex with someone that we hadn't negotiated. That would be cheating. I'd be like, what is happening? Kissing is not cheating. He doesn't have to tell me about that until like he comes home. Like, we tell each other about everything. But I have seen monogamous couples genuinely break up relationships over things like cuddling or emotional support, like from the opposite sex, which I find fascinating. So I think it's really just up to what you want and need in a relationship, to be honest.
Yeah. See, and to me, in my relationship that I have now, my wife and I have, you negotiate what the terms are, right? And my wife and I both aren't comfortable with each other being super sexual and flirty via text with other people. Like, that's not okay. Like, sometimes in person joking around that way is fine, but sending sexy text messages to other people in secret, not okay, right?
No,
and I think that depends on the relationship. So
absolutely.
No, I agree.
Anything you have to hide or you can't be completely honest about with your partner is if you're not telling the whole truth about something, or if it's something that you are intentionally leaving out, or it's something you're lying about altogether, then you know that you've crossed a boundary, and that is cheating. So,
and I think that's where the definition is everywhere, right? If you are doing something in a relationship that you have to lie to your partner and break a trust about, that's where cheating starts.
Yeah.
I would also caution people. I've met a few people who have gone into relationships and didn't negotiate, and so they were on different ideas of what cheating was, though. And I think that's where all the problems ensue, is just this idea that, because some people might not be malicious in intent. Like, what if they are from their past relationships, cuddling a friend is okay, or even like, it's my body, right? And if I want my friend while we're cuddling to kind of like touch my boob, like, what if that's, from my perspective, something that's normal? But you say that, like, you say that, but like, because I'm a part of a lot of nudist like communities and stuff, you meet a lot of people that are like, can I just please, like, I don't understand how you're that way, like, can I just,
where are you going now? I want to go.
Seattle, baby, Seattle, we're very open, like, we're very, it's just a thing, you know, that's just
holding back on us in that area.
I'm being so quiet because it's so perfect that she's on one end and I'm on the other, because I think literally, like, if you're in a committed, like, relationship where you guys are on track and you're like taking over the world together and you got goals and you're working on it, you just don't have time to worry about anyone else. And being in a relationship, so I'm bisexual. I've never had a long-term relationship with guys because they are annoying, and I love men. I think they're beautiful, but like, I can't handle how, like, they're just not. It's like this all the time. So with a woman, I feel like the opposite. You're with a woman, it's like so over dramatic and so over. I don't have time to deal with anyone else.
Amen,
so
sister.
Being morally righteous is trying to survive the one relationship I'm in, and so you just fascinate the shit out of me.
I don't think it's easy. I think it's one of the hardest things I've ever experienced, but it's also one of the most fulfilling things I've ever experienced.
Because you haven't had kids yet.
Genuinely.
That shit's hard.
Yeah.
Well, see, and here's the thing. I'm not having kids. I'm actually unable to have children, and by choice, and we're not. That is a path that I've chosen for myself. I come from a family of 10 kids.
Whoa!
I feel like I've already been a mom, and I'm done.
I can totally see that for sure.
You know, so and I love them. I love children, and I love being around them. But I don't think I could. My lifestyle wouldn't, I think, complement raising a child, because I have a very specific standard for raising children, and my lifestyle is too sporadic and busy. I work like 60 hours a week right now, and so it's just the idea. So I commend, like, major props to the moms out there. Like, that's amazing.
Well, here's the first thing. Here's the first thing that I want to say about that. To me, porn is not cheating, okay?
No, I don't. I agree. Yeah.
Cheating. Otherwise, I cheat like most nights. So, you know, that's all that I have to say about that.
You baby mama.
Hashtag I'm looking for a new girlfriend. But
actually, if you look to your right.
Yeah.
Looking for a girlfriend.
There you go. I don't think porn is cheating. I'm a very flirtatious person by nature, so lucky for me, I found a partner who is probably the most unjealous person or non-jealous person that I've ever dated. Yeah. And you know, that's good, because as I also covered on last week's show, 3 of my very best friends in life are ex-girlfriends who I still cuddle with, do things of that nature. There's no boob touching, but, you know, I'm still open to a cuddle with them. Yeah. So, you know, so I'm really lucky that I have a non-jealous partner, and I think we've talked about this. If it ever came up that either of us was not being fulfilled in some way in our relationship, first of all, you're right, Brittany, that means there's something wrong with the relationship, because we've chosen to be monogamous in our relationship, so something's not working. Mm-hmm. And if we still want to stay together and raise our child and we want to step out, then that's something that we'll negotiate at that time. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that really, you know, makes me feel like I don't have a ton of pressure. Like, I can just go through life and do my thing and be me, and have her support me in those decisions. So porn is not cheating. Go ahead and watch your porn, people.
Every night. No, probably not every night. Probably not every night.
Carrie and I have give each other super long leashes, but we've also never, ever given each other a chance, an opportunity to not trust. Like, I have been in a polyamorous relationship before. I've been a cheater before. I've been the other woman before. Carrie knows this, but I have never given her opportunity to doubt my commitment to our monogamy. I'm completely respectful and mindful of my relationship with her.
Yeah.
And because of that, I get to be really flirty. And my friends get to be really flirty with me. And we can get away with some things, and her as well. Like,
For sure.
So, yeah.
Did you hear that,
Because I
Carrie?
just slept in a room with Hallie. I never met her before in my life in New York.
That's true.
And my wife,
Yeah.
as I was leaving, she's like, "Are you sure about this?" And I was like, "Yeah." What's the problem?
It's all good. Yeah,
Just think about it's just the kind of relationship that you're in. So tell me more, Brittany. What else you got?
About what? About all of it?
Life. You're super fascinating to me.
I know. Well, we're going to move on to the polyamorous segment next, but I just want to end this by saying, for me personally, what sticks with me is something that an ex once said to me when I asked her if she would ever be, a cheater in any way, shape, or form, and she said no, not because the opportunity wouldn't be there, but because she didn't like what being a cheater would say about who she is as a person. And that is kind of something that's always stuck to me. I don't care what other people think about cheating. I care about what I think about myself, and that's who I have to wake up to the next morning. Me and my phone watching porn. So, Cyn,
Yes.
we are having the second installment of Shit That Sucks with Cyn.
Yay!
Take it away. What do you got for us today, Cyn?
Well, so we're talking about cheating and polyamory and things like that.
OJ, tell me if you murdered Nicole.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about safety, because here's the deal. A lot of, especially
It's pretty safe.
Well, especially when you're talking female-bodied person and female-bodied person, right? Like you learn in sex ed in school about condoms and about protecting yourself and male, female, penis, vagina things. But and before I go on, I understand, for our trans friends, not all women have vaginas and not all vaginas belong to women. Got it. But if you're having sex with someone who has a vulva, there are things you need to do to be safe. It's important. First and foremost, get tested. If you're in the United States and you don't know where to go to Planned Parenthood while they're still there. They need some business. But they can help you out. They're really good for the LGBT community. They're helpful. Call your doctor. Search online. Find a place to go get tested. Super important. Even if you're already in a relationship and you haven't done it, do that. One thing we don't talk about a lot is oral sex can really lead to a lot of issues. You can
Like orgasm. Sorry.
Well, yeah. But you can get diseases that way. I mean, syphilis and herpes and all kinds of wonderful things can happen. And dental dams are what they tell you to use, but they're hard to find. Raise your hand if you've actually used a dental dam.
Anyone?
Anyone? They're hard to find. They're hard to get. So I'm going to show you some alternatives.
Stephanie has used a dental dam.
No, I was watching Heidi raise her hand halfway and make. No, I'm just kidding.
That was a piece of saran wrap. Never mind.
So some alternatives to dental dam you should know. But I had my glove because, if you've got any cuts on your hands or if you're, keep your fingernails trimmed and clean. But, if you're with someone new, a glove helps too. But gloves are handy for other things. For instance, let me show you a little trick I learned.
Murdering people.
No, check this out. If you cut the fingers off the glove, you can then use those fingers as little finger cuts. But then you cut the side opposite the thumb there. Check this out.
This girl out.
All right, check this out. And now you've got a really, really neat, now get the powder-free ones, really, really neat device you can use that can also allow for a little bit of insertion.
You paid more!
Nice!
A little lube on this side is really nice, and maybe something flavored on this side for you, and you're all good, right?
Can we put the flavor of pussy on the other side?
I know. But this is for someone that you're new with, that you're not comfortable sharing with, or if you have a partner, for instance, some of us might have partners that test positive for something we're not positive for, and we don't want that. If you have a partner who has herpes, for instance, or a partner who has some other issue that you don't already have, it's good to keep yourself safe. Another tip is, we've got the good old condoms, right? And condoms are great, if you use toys, but I'll get to that in a minute. But condoms are also great. You can do that. You can take one of these flavored dealies if you want. Don't use the spermicidal lubricant ones for this, but if you cut the tip off, and then you cut it up one side, you can also use these instead of dental dams. You see?
Oh.
Okay, so I have a question about dental dams. This is my problem with dental dams.
Yes.
I like to do a lot of things while I'm doing that. So how am I holding that in place while I'm doing other things?
Tape. Duh.
I'm gonna duct tape this chick up.
You could have her help you hold it down while her hand is in place.
Hey, my tape dispenser looks
But
different.
that's another show. But here's the deal with toys. If you're with one partner and one partner only, still important, super wash your toys, antibacterial soap. Silicone is really great because you can boil it. So are things like stainless steel and Pyrex if you're into that kind of thing. I like a softer texture myself. But if you're going to be with multiple partners on the same evening, you can't boil in between. Girls, you can use condoms on your strap-ons.
Yeah.
It's okay. Put the condom on the strap-on. It's great. Actually, if you're going to use your strap-on with a different partner at all, put a condom on it. Because, there's little crevices. You don't always get it that clean. Another quick thing, if you've got some toys, now there's some toys that are for personal use only, usually like the little pocket rockets. Yeah. The reason you don't want to share this with too many partners is because there's lots of little cracks and crevices in places that you can't really get super clean. Yeah. So one tip for that is stick that in a condom, or you can save the fingers of those gloves and you can stick it in the fingers of those gloves. That'll keep it nice and clean too. But these can't really be sterilized, and so they're really single use or one monogamous already tested partner.
Oh my God! There's like a mass exodus of lesbians. Yeah, there's like a mass exodus of lesbians heading to the store buying condoms right now.
Kinky lesbians everywhere.
Yeah, I like these. Now remember, I like powder-free gloves because the taste of powder is really nasty, and you can get powder-free gloves. These black ones are kind of kinky and they're kind of fun, but you can the purple nitrile ones are really fun too. Those work. And you can get them at any medical supply store. You can get these at mechanic stores, salon supply stores. So where you go to get your hair dye, you can go to get the black gloves too.
I would like to tape one of us next week going into a hair salon as a visible dyke and asking for a box of their latex gloves to take home.
Not the salon supply store, right? But another couple quick things I don't know if I mentioned. Like I said, keep things clean, wash them, sanitize them. Make sure your ladies cut the nails, file the nails, clean the nails.
What if we like it a little rougher though?
Oh!
I'm a masochist.
No,
tell me more, Brittany. Tell me more.
Rough is good, but if you're going to be drawing blood on a partner, you had better make sure that partner is tested for everything, and so are you. So if you want to use your nails to scratch someone, I'm not going to yuck your yum. You do what you want to do. Make sure your partner is completely tested and the test results are back before you do things that could cause people to bleed, for instance. It's super duper important. So,
Yeah, some of the tougher STIs to deal with are the ones that are bloodborne. So
right.
That's what you want to protect against.
Just so you know, this is also acceptable for analingus if that's your thing. Perfectly good for that, especially this one, with the little to go inside. All good.
Nice.
It's all good. So any questions, guys, about that kind of thing, ladies?
Jeffy, I think you might have a question.
I'm just watching you bite your tongue.
I am biting my tongue so much because I already said pussy once on the show today. And
Stephanie is like, wow. Because I had my first girlfriend at 17, so I was like, what's going to happen next? We don't know. We're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I've dated a variety of different women, everyone from masochist to sadist and everything in between, because I'm a Gemini and I have a need for knowledge. I like to soak it up and have a little bit of everything. So, I can concur with a lot of the things that Cyn has talked about today.
One of the big things, one big thing I have to say, the big thing you want to look out for if you're a female body person sleeping with female body people is just bacterial infections. That's the biggest thing, bacterial vaginosis. So just wash up, keep it clean. That's okay. So that's the biggest risk you're dealing with, especially is just bacterial infections. So keep the hands clean, and keep yourself clean, and you should be good.
For sure. That is some great information, Cyn. Thank you so much. I don't know why, but your segments crack me the F up when you come out.
I'm funny as hell, bitch. That's right.
You're nearly 2 for 2 with the black glove. Like, I'm wondering what's going on at your house right now, and on the weekend.
Don't you wish you knew?
You've got a surplus of these black gloves. So
I do.
Kudos to you guys.
I was gonna say they also come in handy for fisting.
There you go.
They do,
100%.
actually.
100%. I just saw Stephanie go.
I do have a question for GoPro though. Why do you make your mouth look like anal beads? I mean, stop that. They keep falling, and then during a sex demonstration, you're like, "Damn, this is awkward." Okay.
Yeah, it is
Multi-use.
I know, right?
Oh my God, that was so amazing, Cyn. You rock. And you can tune in about every 3 weeks. We air an episode of Shit That Sucks with Cyn. So we're going to move on to the topic that is working things out in the cubicle there. We're going to move on to the main subject tonight, and the reason, the main reason that I wanted to have Brittany on the show. What's your YouTube account again, Brittany? Just so that everyone can check out your videos.
Brittany's official, or you can just Google Brittany Simon. I'm the first one that comes up.
Exactly. So you can check this girl out. She's got so many videos out there. You're putting new ones up all the time. I can't even keep up with you. You're amazing at that. A subject lately that has been absolutely blowing up on our social media pages is polyamorous relationships. Mm-hmm. And people are super opinionated about these one way or the other. I want to know, first of all, Brittany, what's the difference between polygamy and a polyamorous relationship? And does practicing polyamory put you under the queer spectrum, in your opinion? And how does a person know if polyamory is for them? And again, to end that all, if you're polyamorous, I think we've covered this pretty much already, but can you be accused of being a cheater at any stage of that relationship?
All right, so let's break that down to one question at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
The first one, polygamy, is a marriage between multiple people, so married to multiple people. In the United States, we can't do that, though people do hand fasting, so that's a thing. They do ceremonies. And then polyamory is romantic relationships at the same time. It doesn't imply that you're at a certain part of your relationship, be it marriage or just living together, you know what I'm saying? So polyamory is really a word that can be identifiable to a very specific person in a very specific way. It's so subjective in nature. There are people who consider themselves, in Seattle, non-monogamous, but not polyamorous. They consider their non-monogamy sort of like friends with benefits with a fancy title. Okay. There's something where they want a claim on someone without wanting a strict girlfriend title, which is really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Polyamory tends to insinuate, though it can depend on the relationship, a sort of long-term intention to the romantic entanglement. Though there are, like our relationship, mine and my partner's, we have an open poly relationship where we can engage in just sexual activity with other people, or we can romantically date other people. When we're romantically dating other people, though, it's definitely a more serious concept because my partner and I have a very specific idea of where our life is going. So when we romantically date other people, we really take into consideration where they're at, where we're at, and the possibility of us actually being able to sustain something long term. There was an instance recently where I was seeing somebody and they identified and female-bodied and wonderful and just a great person, but our life wasn't compatible because they were moving out of state in a year, and it wasn't going to happen. But it was one of those things where we were able to maintain a sexual relationship and a great friendship still, but it was a kind of a bummer because we realized because of poly and because I already had a partner, we couldn't make it work. If I was single, I probably would have married the crap out of them. But it's one of those things where our life just isn't conducive. And that's okay because, things move forward. The third thing was what? Cheating?
Yeah. Does practicing polyamory, first of all, do you think it puts you under the queer spectrum?
Oh, so this is interesting. I have a friend who kind of heard this philosophy that queer is a word that means you're kinky, poly, and queer. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that because I kind of like the queer identifier to be a romantic, sexual kind of identification. But I also come from, I just realized this. So I'm 27. And when I was coming out, it was not okay in any capacity. And also, there was no such thing as a bisexual. Like, I didn't even have the option. The only reason I was monogamous then and a lesbian was because I thought I couldn't have multiple partners and I couldn't be with men because I didn't want them as much as I wanted women. Like my partner is the exception to so many rules.
Yeah.
But like other guys don't even have a chance, and it's so sad to like because they see me with one, they think they have a chance, but there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I might be demisexual when it comes to him. But that kind of stuff growing up didn't exist. So for me, queer is very important to how I identify in my attraction to women. So for it to be associated with other things makes me feel a little old, like an old lady who's just like, no.
Yeah.
It means I
So you're monogamous, right?
queer means I like the things that are like me. Is how I kind of feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And definitely men are not like me. So.
That's really
I agree with what you say, Brittany. I know this isn't necessarily politically correct per se or whatnot, but I'll own it. I feel like queer speaks to a lifestyle and not a sexual orientation or a gender identification. And I think that the term queer, I don't care for the term queer either, but in my opinion, queer covers sexual orientation and gender identification. And I really, really, really fight, I get on a soapbox about the fact that those are not lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
And polyamory is a lifestyle. So that's where I come from. I have no issues with polyamory. I have no issues with polyamorous people. I respect that other people may find that I see a lot of queer people in polyamorous relationships, and so I see that how they can often go hand in hand. But that's my perspective.
Go ahead.
Nope, you always go ahead.
I remember fighting so aggressively to be proud of being queer for a reason. Like I was ostracized and made fun of, and I started the first GSA, ever Gay Straight Alliance ever to show up on this campus where I grew up because I grew up in such a small town. So for me, it is such a powerful word and so passionately important that to have it summed up in just all the things makes it less special for me.
Yeah, I think sexuality, like queer is who you're having sex with, right? And kink is what kind of sex you're having, and monogamy or polyamory is how many. I think that they're different descriptors.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to summarize. Great one, Cyn.
I mean, it's who, how, and how much, and I think that they're different descriptors. I think that if I hear queer, I'm thinking that person is either with someone of the same gender or with someone who is trans or is trans themselves, or someone who isn't like the hetero cis, like what we're used to seeing as normal, right?
Right.
So how would you know, Brittany, if polyamory is for you? Like, if you are a serial cheater and you just can't be with one woman, does that mean that you should particularly consider yourself polyamorous, or are you just a dick? Or, like, what is it that is in you or in a polyamorous person that would dictate that that's a good lifestyle for them or a good choice for them?
Sure. I get questions like this a lot on my Tumblr, like a lot. People are like, am I a cheater or am I poly? What am I?
Yeah.
I think you need to sit down and think about what you want your life to look at, and think about how important you want the people in your life to be to you and how you want them to interact with you. Because I think people forget relationships are interactions, and they can be on a constant basis or on a less constant basis. When you look for, let's say, a fuck buddy, that's someone who you might see once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, and there's a proper amount of interaction. You don't talk about paying your bills with your fuck buddy.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about dating, you're thinking about, maybe, this is it for me at least, I think about the possible long term and how I want this person to actually mold into my existence and vice versa. So when you're examining yourself, think about doing that for one person, and if that's comfortable, awesome. If you feel like you might need something else, think about it with 2 people. What would that look like? I'm queer, and I have a male partner, and I need a woman in my life. So for me, polyamory makes extreme sense, right? Yeah. I need that. But I could also be a hetero woman who needs 2 men in her life, or a man who needs 2 men in his life. So depending on your identifiers and how you want your life to go, I think that is what dictates if it's right for you. Now, whether or not you can sustain it is a different question, because it takes a lot of maturity and I think self-awareness and I think a lot of money. I'm not even bullshitting you. Dating two people is expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
To maintain,
too, right?
It's expensive. So, and there are poly families. Like, I know poly families who have kids and they all talk about raising babies together. You're talking about people who are queer and pay $50,000 to have, insemination happen.
Yeah.
And those are things that happen amongst a slew of adults. So this is not a lifestyle that I think is for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to who you are as a person and the needs you have along with your partners.
Do you see any kind of pattern to who is poly? For example, I've only met a couple of lesbian-identified polyamorous women throughout my 20-year lesbian career. Is it something that seems to happen more in hetero relationships, or is it something that also is very apt to happen with women? And the reason that I kind of ask that is I have dated men in the very distant past, and obviously women over the last 20 years, and I find women to be very possessive on a certain level. So to me, I would think that that would be a category that would be less inclined to a polyamorous relationship, or does it just really depend on the person?
So it depends, I feel, from my experience. So I grew up in partially Southern California for most of my life, in conservative areas that had queer areas. And when I was coming out, I was, between the ages of like 18 and 21, and I was going to my first lesbian bar and experiencing all of those things. And those women wanted very specific things from me and for me. Like, they wanted me to be hardcore lesbian, and they didn't want any kind of male influence in the lifestyle, and they wanted a very specific persona to be pursued. And so I realized that something was missing in my life, hence the reason I'm queer, and definitely hardcore probably. I don't like bisexual because it insinuates that I like men a lot more than I do. And I don't. And I feel like it does a disservice to the guys who they're like, great, I have a chance. I'm like, well, not really.
Yeah.
Like, not really. And then here in Seattle, I've noticed that the queer women who are non-monogamous are threatened by the fact that I have a boyfriend, even though he's queer, because they think I'm just another girl who's getting it on for their guy.
Yeah.
And I hate that, but I understand why they do that, because what I've observed in the kink community along with the poly community is that a lot of hetero couples love bringing in that unicorn girl, that bisexual girl that's gonna fuck them both to like oblivion, and that's great. I'm happy for you, but it I think devalues that third person a little bit, and it doesn't speak to the polyamorous side of the love part of it. Yeah. So the only pattern I've seen is that I think people who are a little bit more traditional, a little bit more 2002 gay, are a little hesitant to trust the 2012, 2016 new millennial Tumblr gay, because it seems a little like everyone's not sure what they really want. And we're really young, though. I mean, the idea of being gender fluid and all of those things and like all of those terminologies, which are beautiful, is so new. Like, I talk to my lesbian friends who are like 40, and they're like, what is this?
I just had that conversation at LGBT Week with all the gay guys there. Like, what do you mean queer spectrum? Tell me more.
What is this?
Like, I don't even know. I'm on the show and I identify as bisexual, but it was the only way for all of us to have a title. And so for your generation, you need the titles. You guys are all like, okay, well, don't call me a lesbian, be this. And so for me, I remember when just being a lesbian was special. I mean, I wasn't a lesbian. I was like, yes, I am, because I was like, yeah, that's the only way for me to say, no, I don't want to sleep with every boy that hits on me.
Yep, me too.
It's interesting now to watch that gap, because it's just continuing. It's like a wave just going so fast, and I don't know. I'm happy with lesbian, but because I know who I am, but whatever.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. My partner identifies as pansexual, so she can be attracted to any myriad of different people out there. She says that she would date a guy, or she would sleep with a guy, but she only dates women. Like, that's her preference as far as actual relationships and things of that nature. As a 40-year-old lesbian who will be 41 on Wednesday.
You are looking fantastic. Holy crap. When you were like 20 years, I was like, what are you, 28? 20, you're my age? How old are you?
If you ever look at my comedy page, it's what I'm putting on my face. I believe I have a special cream that is age-defying.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
However, maybe it's Maybelline. Was that her name? So as I fit in with
She kept the rubber glove and she used it in the
exactly. So I am from that generation of people that, since I started this show and since I started interacting with people like Cyn who know a lot more about terminology and political correctness. I'm a comedian by nature. Political correctness doesn't even exist in my world. Sure. But I have learned so much through this show about different choices, different titles, all these different things that I didn't know about. So, that's one of the things that I hope that we bring to our viewers at home as well is expand your mind and learn a little bit about other people out there.
Well, my political correctness guideline is just don't be a dick. Respect people. It's not about
be cool, man. Just be cool.
It's not about walking on eggshells. It's just about not being a total asshole. You know?
For sure. Is that in relation to me in specific, or?
Take it how you get it.
I always take it how I can get it. What do you think, Heidi?
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank for a second, but I have all these things that I wanted to tell you about. But can I share a little story for you?
Yes, please.
From my honeymoon. So first night at the honeymoon, we're in a little resort. There's a little tiki bar, poolside bar, and we walk up to the poolside bar, and there's like a whole bunch of people from all over America. We're in Hawaii, all over America, but they're all like 67 plus, and they're all introducing themselves and hi, we're from this and we're retired this, and introducing themselves, and they get to us and they're like, well, I guess we'll see how these people feel about this. I'm Heidi, and this is my wife Carrie. We're newlyweds. And the guy next to us goes, oh, well, I'm John, and this is my wife Marjorie, and my girlfriend Beverly.
Yeah.
They've been living polyamorously since 1982. Both women with it. I was like, well, gay schmay, look at you go.
Yeah. We're not even on the radar. You guys are so much cooler than us.
You did polyamorous before, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, what's funny is when marriage equality was passing here in the States, and a lot of people were saying, what's going to be next? People are going to be wanting to marry 2 women? I'm like, what's the problem with that?
Right.
That's not a problem, it's one of those things. I personally, I'm a big monogamy girl, but if somebody else can make that work, then they should be able to do that.
For sure.
And polyamorous relationships, long-term polyamorous relationships actually show no difference in overall relationship satisfaction and happiness in the long-term mark. They are just as happy as monogamous couples. So,
but do they have more drama?
I would just like to say, I would like to say,
more than 2 women, Stephanie, get a hold of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Brittany, what did you want to say?
For all you parents out there, I would like to point out that when you're polyamorous, you have babysitters all the time.
Yeah.
That is true.
That is true.
Honey, if you're watching, Dan Carlin as a babysitter. Thank you.
Exactly. I mean, I think I have always gone by the motto of whatever floats your boat. I love when you say, Cyn, I don't want to yuck your yum. That is such a good statement. I come from, I'm an adopted child of a father who is a kingpin in the S&M world, and a mother, they're divorced, who was a principal of a Lutheran school. So I literally have all sorts of influences in my life, and whatever floats your boat, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I could care less what you're doing.
I wouldn't know that about my parents.
Yeah. Well, when your dad wears leather pants and nipple clamps to your grade 9 grad, you learn about things really quickly.
No.
Yeah. We'll cover that on a future show.
Yeah, we gotta bring him on.
Yes,
Listen, I have a question from our chat from Jennifer from Miami.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I remember you're from Miami, Jennifer. I do. She wants to know, do you think poly for lesbians might work better with age? For example, other older lesbians more accepting of that?
I haven't seen that to be true. But I am
saying older lesbians are more conservative?
Yeah, I mean, look at the generation in which, even I'm on the cusp, right, of where I was going to have a wife and 6 kids, and there was going to be a monogamous, beautiful wedding, and it was going to be gorgeous, because that is what I was taught was proper.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, being gay was already the improper part, but that was my version of making it proper.
For sure.
So I feel. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what about postmenopausal lesbians that are in that horny prime?
Yeah.
I think that's who Jennifer's talking about.
Yeah, well, hello, then go for it. I mean, in Seattle, I'm very lucky. I feel like I'm living in a mecca of awesomeness, and there are a slew of all generations, but I mean, there are like 78-year-old couples. Like, they're 78 years old, and they've been together for 40 years, and they're polyamorous and loving it and happy and, you know, all queer spectrums and gorgeousness, and it's just, like, amazing. But some of them are brand new and have just discovered the communities here, but they've been living this lifestyle. They had no idea had a name or a thing, or it was beautiful. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So it appeals to all of us.
That's amazing. Brittany, I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I am reserving the right to bring you back for another show because you've been absolutely awesome this evening. I want to thank everybody on the panel, and especially those of you watching at home. Jennifer in Miami, I think I know who you are. On next week's show, we are going to be talking about sleeping when you have kids.
That is freaking hilarious.
Or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting sleep, how are you making it through each and every day? And we're also going to have a really candid discussion about potty training, how to get your kids on the pot, and I'm not talking weed.
Teach me.
Exactly. And we are also going to have a surprise reading at the end of the show, so you're going to have to tune in next week to see what that is. If everyone wants to lift their glass, I'm going to have our cheers to end the show. Pepsi, if you feel like sponsoring us, let's put that out there. Cheers to anyone that can handle more than one relationship at a time and the people who keep it real in their monogamous ones. Thank you for joining us. Cheers, everybody. See you next week. And remember, there is always something to quack about. See you next week, everybody.